Good evening, everyone. I'm Advik. It's my pleasure to extend a warm welcome to everyone and host this event, Research Gateway. We are here today to get you acquainted with the world of research. Our speaker, Aditya Kumra, will be introducing you to the concept of research, familiarizing you with the ways to get started with the research paper, intimating you on the prerequisites for the research paper, providing an understanding on the process of publication, and much more. The speaker will be answering all your questions and queries towards the end of the session. You can raise your hand or drop a message in the chat box to pitch your questions. Also, a feedback form will be circulated at the end of the session, so I request all of you to fill it up. Let's dive right into the session. I hand over the podium to Aditya now.
Thank you, Advik. Uh, Let me do a quick check first. Am I audible?
Yeah, Aditya. Yeah.
Okay, let me present the screen then. Okay, so is my screen visible?
Yes, Aditya, it is.
Cool. Okay, so thank you, Advik. So let's get started with the event, the Research Gateway. So obviously, the first question that will come into mind of every person over here is what is research actually? So, research is defined as the creation of new knowledge or the use of existing knowledge in a new, creative way so as to generate new concepts, methodologies, and understandings. This could include synthesis and analysis of previous research to the extent that it leads to new and creative outcomes. So, this is the definition. But what does research actually mean? So, what research actually means is any scientific field you can take, whether be it business, whether be it medical, whether be it tech, whether be it finance or historical, any scientific field you take, any new innovation, creation, or modification. Let me clearly mention it any significant innovation. Contribution to any of these fields is research. Whenever you contribute yourself to any of these fields, okay, so it is called research only. So next is you would be familiar. Some of you would be familiar with this series. This is the Big Bang Theory. Okay, so we have a theoretical physicist over here and an astrophysicist. So what? Let me depict you the scene. Uh, they both are collaborating to prepare a research. There's a big background music playing, and everybody's motivated and cheerful and energetic to contribute to the field and start researching. But what happens is they spend hours and hours all together staring at the whiteboard and on a formula. So what I'm trying to depict through this is that there may come a time in your research when you have all the data and when you have a graph. So in that graph you can see the patterns, but as this is a research, okay, so there may come a time when you don't have the resources to know what that pattern is about. So you have to put all your mind and see why something is happening, why there is a certain change in the pattern or a certain change in the data. So this is one of the examples of that. So let's dive into the topic. There are two major kinds of research. One is qualitative research and the other is quantitative research. So the first one is qualitative research. So what is qualitative research? Qualitative research is dealing with the phenomena that are difficult or impossible to quantify mathematically, such as beliefs, meanings, attributes, and symbols. It aims to gather an in-depth understanding of human behavior and reasons that govern such behavior. Some of you would have this image that research is all about numerical formulas, mathematics, and statistics. But it is not so. There's qualitative research as well. It deals with non-numerical data such as text, videos, photographs, or audio recordings. This type of data can be collected using diary accounts or in-depth interviews. Okay, it is endlessly creative, and let me tell you, it is very hectic to conduct interviews. You have to conduct many interviews and you have a lot much of data, and then you have to use content analysis and thematic analysis to see what is happening in that. You have to find out a pattern in that data. So let me give you an example. A few years back, one of my neighbors was researching on an historical field where in the pre 1947 time, when there was partition happening in India and there was a partition between India and Pakistan. So obviously there might not be resources depicting all the information about that period. So what you can do at that time, you have to conduct interviews. So my Nanaji, that is my grandfather, he was one of the person who was used to live in Lahore before that period. So that neighbor of mine came to our house and fixed up a meeting with my grandfather to conduct an interview so that he can get to know more about the complete scenario which was happening. So what happened during the interview was he covered up everything. He started with the interview. There was a complete camera, DSLR kept with there's a mic, and like you see in the newspaper, right? So all those things were kept in that room, and the interview took place. So how it started? It started with knowing when he was born, what was his name, what was his nickname, how many brothers and sisters there were, where he used to live, what he used to do in his free time, how he used to pass his time, what were the games he used to play, where he used to go to study, what were even if he remembered, he asked about the syllabus and topics which are taught in the school. Okay, so from there to the partition time when they fled from now occupied Pakistan, that is Lahore, to India. So when they came back to India, all the scenarios took place, the violence and all those things which happened. He asked everything from even the minute details. So from there to coming back to India, establishing again, finding jobs. So I mean, even the interviews are a very hectic part of qualitative research. There are other examples as well. So even though this research looks interesting, we must see whether we have to do which kind of research we are interested in doing, whether be it qualitative or the other one is quantitative. So what are the advantages? It enables more complex aspects of a person's experience. There are fewer restrictions or assumptions. You don't have to make any assumptions in qualitative research. Not everything can be quantified or quantified easily. Individuals have to be studied in depth. The participants are able to provide data in their own words and in their own way. What are the disadvantages? It is more difficult to determine the validity and reliability of linguistic data. There's sometimes data overload. You're conducting many interviews. There's vast amount of data. So you have to see which data is useful to you and which is not useful to you. It is very time consuming, as I mentioned earlier. So this is qualitative research. As BTech students, as most of us are in the branch of BTech, so we will mostly be focusing on quantitative research in our life. So what is quantitative research? Quantitative research refers to the systematic empirical investigation of any phenomena via statistical, mathematical, or computational techniques. The objectives of quantitative research is to develop and employ mathematical models, theories, and hypotheses pertaining to the phenomena. So quantitative research generally deals with the scientific methods, which can include generation of models, theories, hypotheses, development of instruments and methods for measurement, experimental controls, and manipulation of variables, collection of empirical data, modeling and analysis of data, evaluation of results. So this is part of the quantitative research. There are many advantages of quantitative research, whether be it measuring and analysis of data, whether be it objectives such as finding the objectives of the research. Quantitative research can also be used to test hypotheses in experiments because of the ability to measure using statistics. So again, as we have some disadvantages of qualitative research, we have some disadvantages of quantitative research. Sometimes what happens, we go so deep into the formulas and statistics that sometimes the context of the study or experiment is ignored. We do not study the complete process in a natural setting or discuss the meaning of things having for different people. A large sample has to be created for studying more accurate results. You have to take data for accomplish of thousands and thousands of rows, columns, and pertaining for years to years if you want to accurately determine any data. So this is what are the disadvantages of quantitative research. In quantitative research, there are many different types of research. The first one is applied research. So applied research refers to the scientific study and research that seeks to solve problems. Applied research is used to finding solutions of everyday problems such as cure illness and develop innovative technologies. Any real-time day-to-day problems which we face in our daily life, finding solutions of those problems is the major reason of applied research. For example, applied research can investigate on the now present pertaining disease, that is COVID. So treating and curing of such diseases, improving agricultural crop production, improving energy efficiency for homes, offices, and transportation. All these things comes under applied research. Next comes the theoretical research. Theoretical research is driven purely by scientific knowledge. It is mainly to expand one's knowledge of how things work. It might not necessarily be linked directly to the any problems which are present, which is present in our day-to-day life. So, for example, the one of the major theoretical research field is understanding how does the universe begin, how was Earth created, how evolution of humans took place. All these things comes under theoretical research. Next comes the correlational research. So correlational research refers to the systematic investigation of statistical studies of relationship among two or more variables without necessarily determining the cause and effect. So we'll go deep into this research as one of the major experience of mine in research is correlational research. So I'll be, discussing what my experience was in this research. So what is correlational research? It seeks to establish a association between two or more variables, where one is the dependent variable and the other is the independent variable. Most of you would have gone through this topic called as regression in your second or third semester, for those who are currently studying in second year or maybe in third or fourth year if there's somebody over here. So you might have studied statistics in your second or third semester. There is one dependent variable and there are many independent variables. So correlational research is mainly deals on these types of things. For example, let me take the hypothesis of listening to music lowers the blood pressure levels. So this is one of the hypotheses which comes under correlational research. So how can we, carry out this research? One of the ways is the experimental research. We can group samples, and in one of the groups we can tell them to listen to music first, and the other is just simply sitting idly. So now once the half of the group has listened to music, you can again conduct the data, you can take their BP, and you can see the relation between listening to music and lowering of BP. So this is one of the experimental research methods. The other is survey. You can conduct a survey. You can ask people how they feel when they listen to music, how often do they listen to music, and then you can compare the data. So this is one of the examples, but what generally happens is it might not necessarily be this easy. I mean, there are very complex problems when you deal with research. So for example, let me take an example of the paper which I worked upon. It is the modeling of predictable variables in multi-time instant ambient temperature time series. Okay, so it's a very big topic, and some of you might have got intimidated listening to this title of the topic for the first time. So let me give you an advice. Okay, so this might happen many times during a research. You might come across various topics, various words, various symbols, which you might have no knowledge about before. But once you go deep into the topic, okay, once you are interested in that topic, once you read tens, hundreds, and many research papers on the topic, you get so familiarized with the topics, the symbols, and everything that I mean, that's like you would have studied Pythagoras theorem in your classes. So at the first time when you study Pythagoras theorem, you would have proved the theorem, you would have learned the theorem, and you would have to come back pages and see what the formula was about. But now whenever you do mathematics, you never say ki, Acha, I'll use Pythagoras theorem over here and I'll simply solve the problem. You don't do that. It is an instinct. So when you get so experienced in that field, you stop getting intimidated during seeing these such kind of topics. So this is very common. Okay, you don't have to get scared. It is one of the major barriers which comes in researcher's life when he or she starts research. So what the paper which I contributed to, what it simply means is, um, what it simply does is it predicts the effect of different variables, that is on the temperature of a place. For example, the angle of sunlight, time of sunrise, wind speed, etc. So if you this is just a very simpler way of understanding the gist of the paper. So this might happen a lot many times, so you have to be very careful while going to the topics. And if you get stuck somewhere, if you think that you are not able to understand some topics, you can go to the citations, and then you can simply see what that topic really means. You can go through, even YouTube sometimes have resources regarding such topics, so you can just wander off to places and see whether you are able to understand the topic now as well. So this is mainly what correlational research is about. The next comes is descriptive research. So what is descriptive research? Descriptive research refers to the research that provides an accurate portrayal of characteristics of particular individual, situation, or group. It is also known as statistical research. So in short, what it does is, everything, it deals with everything that can be counted and studied which has an impact on the lives of a people. For example, let's take the example of COVID as well. So finding the different rate of growth of COVID in different states, different countries. So you are able to generate a data on how COVID is increasing at one place and how it is decreasing in other place. So when you do this, what it does is it helps other researchers also examine like why this is happening. So this is one of the descriptive research problems. Like most of it is considered to be statistical. That's why it is called a statistical research. Okay, so this is the major types of research we will see mostly in our lives. So now moving on to how to start a research paper. Okay, so what are the prerequisites? What are the prerequisites of a research of getting into this field? So it might sound very weird that the main prerequisites of getting into this field is that you should be able to read, you should be able to write, and you should be able to analyze and observe things. But out of these three things, the most important things, except these three things, is you have to show commitment. Okay, so most of the first-time researchers have this difficulty. Okay, you might once you go deep into the research, you lose your commitment, you lose your interest. So that is the only prerequisite which matters the most. You have to be committed. You have to be committed to write a good research paper. You should be able to devote a couple of hours every day or even more on the paper. When it comes to the prerequisites, basic coding is sufficient enough beforehand so that you can go through the steps. You can code the basic formulas and see what the data is all about. Other stuff can be learned on the way. For example, statistical software such as MATLAB, models, all these are really necessary for writing a research paper. But you can learn all those things through the path of writing a research paper. But the only prerequisite which matters is the commitment. If you have commitment, you can go and learn as many amount of things as are required to write a research paper. Okay, so moving on to the next topic, that is research flowchart. So I'll be providing a very basic, simple summary of what happens while you write a research paper. So define research problems. So what our first topic is to define research problem. You have to go through various documents, various research papers to define a research problem. We'll go deep into the topic once we have completed the flowchart. So once you have defined the research problem, there are two steps. You have to review the concepts. You have to review what the paper is all about. What are the methods, different methods used in the research paper, and the other important thing is to review the previous research findings. You have to read all the documents, that all the historical significance, like all the research papers that have already been published on that problem. You have to see what all are the developments done on that research paper already, and what is the research gap. So once you do that, you then have to formulate the hypothesis. whether what you have seen, what is the research gap, and how you are significantly improving on the old research methods. Once you have developed the hypothesis, you have to design the research. You have to design all the models that will be used in that research paper. And once you have designed the research, you also have to add graphs, add pie charts to the research model. So you have to completely summarize what you're going to do in the research paper while you're designing the research. Once you have done that, you go to the data collection. You have to collect all the data regarding the research problem which you are taking as the project. So once you do that, once you've collected the data, then the important part is the data analysis. You have to do the data analysis. You have to test the hypothesis which you have uh, made in the formulating hypothesis part. So once you have tested the hypothesis, there are two major cases. Either the hypothesis which you tested uh, is in parallel to the hypothesis which you formulated. So if they both correlate, if they both are same, then you can go to the next part, that is interpret and report the changes and the hypothesis which you made. If it is if it contradicts the research hypothesis which you did, then you again have to go to the design research part and again collect data and see the analysis. If the hypothesis again and again failing, then you have to change the method and modify the hypothesis as well. So this is the most simple research flowchart that you can see right now. There are many other methods as well. Once you go through the different documents, you can see cylindrical flowchart, you can see cyclic flowchart of research problems. It is not basically as linear as I've shown it over here. So once you dive deep into the topic, you can see that you can start from data collection as well. You can start from formulating hypothesis as well. And there's a cyclic process of the complete flowchart, which I've shown over here. So this is the flowchart. Now let's begin the topic. What are you have to all at sea but learning to swim. Okay, so this is the title of this paper of this slide. So what it does is you have to be aware of the skills. You have to be aware of the knowledge and resources that you already possess. And you should that because once you do so, you are confident about the skills you have. You have these many resources which you can look into. So it develops a little confidence in your mind once you go through the vast research papers that you are already going through. So once you have done that, once you are aware of the skills and knowledges that you have, the other part is to be aware of the skills and knowledges that is still required to completely thrive through the research paper. So these are the things which you have to note down. You have to completely systematic. You have to formulate a systematic way of writing things. You have to write all the skills that are still required. And then once you have done that, then comes the part where you have to produce a personal development plan. You'll see this personal development plan after a couple of slides. So once you have done so, you have to once you have started this research, you have to appreciate that the research paper is not as straightforward as it seems. It might sometimes it will most of the times when you start a research, it will happen that you are stuck somewhere. Okay, you can't understand what you have to go through. Like you're completely blank on what else you have to do. So you have to understand that whether it is a comma or a full stop. Okay, whether you can still somehow thrive and you can put more efforts and continue the research paper, or you simply lack those resources and the knowledge about the topics that still have to be read and understood. So these all analysis you have to start from the beginning and you have to carry it onwards toward the whole research. You have to have a clear idea of your motivation for engaging in research. Why have you started research? Whether it is just to add some laurels to your resume, or whether you have to apply for of such things beforehand. You have to be confident enough you have to be confident about the ability to carry out small scale research projects. It is an advice that once you are going through research papers, try to go into smaller scale research projects so that you have the resources required for a small scale research is less than the resources required for a very wide scale research that is mostly published in IEEE conferences and so on, which we will see the publishments later as well. So try to start with a small scale research project. Okay, so once you have jotted down the points, then comes a personality development plan. You have to you have to identify learning needs. You have to see how you'll achieve those needs and the time duration, the deadline of all these things. you always have to establish a deadline, because if you don't establish a deadline, what happens is you keep on lingering on the things, because there are many times when you are not able to find the resources. So what happens is you keep on lingering on. So you have to make sure that does not happen. You have to devote your time, you have to give more hours to, and go through the resources and complete the topic in your hand. So you have to settle on a topic. So how do you do so? How do you, the first step is to settle on a topic. How do you do so? So you talk to your friends, you talk to other students, you talk to your mentor, and and it is one of the most important steps. You have to devote your time, because the most like, if you have established a good topic, if you have seen a good research gap, so half of the things is done. Because the most difficult step while writing a research paper is to find a research gap that that suits you, that you are interested in, you can contribute to. Once you have done so, you have to review existing researches on the topic. You have to conduct literature reviews, and then you have to again set up time limit for that. You have to develop a questionnaire. You have to develop surveys, and then once you have the data, you have to analyze the data by using different data analysis models. So during this personal development plan, you have to answer many questions. You have to answer what skills, resources, and knowledges you already have. You have to identify as many of the following that you can contribute to your success in academic work in the past. That is, you have to establish the skills you have, the resource, that is time, money, and network support which you have. You have to establish the knowledge you have, which is still required, and you have to expand on these things. Your research should correlate with the resources which you have, the skills which you have, so that you can easily expand on such topics. So once you have written the skills, you have written the resources and knowledge you have, then you can see what is still required, what are the resources which is still required. So once you have done so, you have completed the first step of writing a research paper. Now most of the hard work is done. You have completed a research, yeah, you have taken research gap, you've established a topic, and now it is still a steep path, but it is way easier than what you had when you were starting at the first point, when you didn't know anything, where you used to get intimidated you seeing the formulas and stuff. So this is all about the development personal plan. We'll take a short break now. So meanwhile, while taking the break, we'll be dropping a poll link in the chat box. You can cast your votes to the domains that fascinate you the most. This is just to get to know the research domain that you're interested in, and then we can even have a small discussion on the on the domains which you have picked up, and the most, in trend domain right now in the field. So yeah, let's take a short 5 minutes break. We'll display you the form where you can, poll the domain which you most likely think that it is the most of the popular and trendy domains right now. Okay. Am I audible?
Yeah, Aditya, you are.
Okay. So I hope everybody has polled. We'll be discussing about the results at the end, and then we'll have a small discussion as well on the domains you feel that are more upcoming, etc. Okay, so we have completed the personal development plan. Now is the time to choose a topic. So, while choosing a topic, there are the three things which are most important. That is, you have to be selfish. Okay, you are going to devote a large amount of time, a large amount of your time and energy towards the research. So you have to be selfish on what interests you. You have to think about your curriculum. You have to think about your future professional development. So that is one of the most important things while choosing a topic. It should be of your interest. You should, because once it is of your interest, you find it less difficult to commit it. You find it less difficult to commit. Okay, so there are a few questions which you should ask yourself once you think that whether you will have the necessary motivation to carry or not. The question is that it is a very casual question that once you have chosen a topic, you have to ask yourself that will it get you out of the bed on a Monday morning. Okay, or if you are a morning person, then you have to ask yourself that will working on this topic, you know will I be able to work on this topic on a Friday evening, Friday night? Will I be able to push through the whole night for completing the research paper? So if you feel a little hesitant about answering those questions, then it is very normal when once you do so. So what you can do at the time is you can modify one of the aspects of a research. You can modify how you're going to collect the data, or you can modify the topic. You can modify on how you are approaching the topic, how you're approaching the question. So once you do so, you have completed you are confident enough, then you can see the other topics as well. You can choose your topics from your curriculum. So for freshers, for first years and second years, you can, the most easy way of, choosing a topic is to, go through your curriculum. You can go through your subjects which you have. So, for example, when I took an example of regression for the second semester, third semester people who have statistics, you can go through regression, as it is one of the most easy topics which you can work upon. You can go through multiple variable regressions, okay, nonlinear regression. As you have studied these topics, you have a base and you can work upon it as well. So for immediate first year students in the first semester ones, you might have a programming language with you in this semester, okay, whether it be Python, C++, Java, etc. So you can, start your research on such topics. You can start your research on Python. You have for loops and you have time complexity. So you can start your research on those topics. I would again advise you that it might seem intimidating at first, the topics and those titles, but be confident, go through a couple of research papers, and then you will, be more calm on what you're going through, and what all topics you can see and what all skills you have to go through the topic. So once you have gone through the topics in your curriculum, you can even follow your hunches. That is, in your whole life, you might have become curious about certain stuff around you, like certain stuff that is happening around the society. You might have a strong instinctive feeling that a particular area or issue needs researching, or it will raise interesting questions. So this may be because of a critical incident that you have experienced, or it may be something that surprises you or puzzles you during your free time. So you can even work upon that. It is not weird on working about something you are interested in. You have a question in your mind, but keep in mind that with all suggestions given here, you don't have to expend too much time and energy on such stuff. You have to see if it is productive or not. See, again, I'm telling you, whether it's a full stop or comma, you have to see. If you are not able to contribute much, then you have to modify your topic. You even have to change the topic, or you may have to change the various ways on approaching the topic. So this is how you can choose a topic. even after these three things, if still you can't choose a topic, you can go to your supervisors, you can go to your fellow students, you can go to your department secretary, your college services, you can go through the research papers, you can go to your library and sit over there and see what interests you and what are the skills you already have as a base to go through the research paper. Yeah, especially departments, you have English language support as well. So quantitative, if you are not able to do some quantitative research, you can go through the qualitative research as well. It all depends upon you what kind of research you find more interesting, and you're easily able to commit to. You can even, if you are, if you are not in college, if you are about to go to a job as well. So at that time, you can ask your manager, as you will be under someone, you will be, researching under a person, a manager, you will be researching as a job. So you can even ask your managers at that time as well. So there are other points as well. You can ask your work colleagues who have particularly undertaken similar research projects. You can ask your family and your friends. You can ask your neighbors on, like, if you are carrying a small scale research, you can ask your neighbors. You can ask your society what are their day to day problems which they are facing. What are all the prominent issues which are there in our society. It may sound that it is a very small scale, but the experience you get from this, it will surely help you to undertake larger projects as well. As you have told, you can ask your lecturers, supervisors, and teachers of your course as well. You can have handbooks of your department. You might, you might have been given some syllabus to go through. So in that syllabus, you might have some reference books. So you can read those reference books, and then you can develop your interest over there and see if there's any topic which you can speak upon. So once you have done so, the other important thing is finding and choosing a supervisor. So let me share my experience over here. So once when I was in my first semester, what happened is I had this subject called as electrical subject. Okay, so I had no clue about research before. So I even thought that one of those typical, thinking that research is not done during undergraduate. You have to go through your topics first, and then once you have complete knowledge about everything, then you go into research, maybe in a third or fourth year, or maybe not in your undergraduate. You have to go through it in a PhD or your MS. So I had this, thinking in my mind. So what happened in one of my electrical classes, I used to, and usually I used to ask questions to my sir when he used to explain stuff. So I was very curious about stuff. So I used to ask him, and then he used to be very happy, seeing that I'm, asking about stuff, and I want to learn more. So keeping this, there was another incident when he used to give us lab experiments. So when he used to give us lab experiments, there is this thing called result analysis. So some of you might already have written this result analysis in your first semester, those who have electricals or any other laboratory classes. So in that result analysis, he used to tell us to write whatever you think you have learned during the whole experiment, during the whole meet, what you have learned. So in that result analysis, when I used to write that result analysis, I used to go very in depth about that result analysis. Key, why is this happening? Why is current behaving like this? Why is there, there's two types of, taking out the current. This nodal way and this another way as well. So I used to ask questions to him, and I used to give a thorough read of the whole experiment and then write the result analysis. So what happened was, my sir, I was very, I was very lucky, and I still feel honored that my professor, he saw that I have a very inquisitive nature, and he approached me and asked whether I want to be, since I have a very inquisitive nature and I like to go in depth about things. So he asked me whether I want to start researching, whether I want to be a part of his research team. So when he asked, so the first thing which I told him was, I don't know anything. I don't have any skills. I just completed my 12th. and I'm just know the basic stuff taught in coaching classes, the JE advanced, JE mains preparation. So and this was the first thing I told him. I might not have the skills to contribute. So he told me the same thing, that the skills you develop through the whole path, but what is required is your commitment. You should be committed, and all these stuffs can be learned later. So this is what he told, and this is how I got into research. But this might not be the case most of the time. Okay, you might, professors are very, very busy in their daily life. They have to teach classes, they have their own research to do, they have their own teams as well. So you might not be approached by a professor very easily. So the most important thing at that time is you do your own homework. You do your own homework. You choose your topic. You choose what interests you. You choose the research gap. You do your homework, and then you approach your professor. Ki, see, I have done this much. I have gone through this project, this research paper, and will you guide me? Okay, you can ask him like that, because a professor or a mentor should see that the student is curious enough or committed enough, so that he works on something. He's committed enough to work on this research paper. You have to gain that trust first. So once you gain that trust, he might start advising you. He might start guiding you to the topics or to the models or to the different ways you can go through. So don't expect them to explain everything. Okay, he or she is they are just there to guide you through the stuff. You have to make sure that their interest matches yours. Okay, you can, what I used to do is I used to stalk their research profiles. Okay, so in my second semester, I used to stalk the research profile of one of my statistical teachers. Statistics teacher. I used to see what all he has done, and whether our interest matches or not. So once I did so, I approached him regarding see, I'm working on this topic which you are teaching, and which you have worked upon. So can you guide me through this thing? So he was also very happy that I'm inquisitive enough to learn more. So most of the times they will guide you. If they are not very, very busy, they will guide you through the stuff. They'll support you, and they'll give you all the basic requirements that is necessary to launch your research journey. Okay, so yeah, don't expect them to spoon feed everything. Okay, what I used to do earlier was I used to be very dependent on my professor. He used to give me tasks, and I used to work upon it, and then I used to ask him, blandly that I am not able to understand this. So I used to get, like, the whole research team used to get scolded a lot. I mean, I'm not there just to, if I'm doing everything, then what are you doing? He used to say this. So it is this duty to guide you. Okay, he's not there to explain you each and everything. You have to do your homework, and you have to come to him with whatever you have done. You have to provide your notes. You have to, he has to see that all the efforts you have done. So once you've done so, what are all the other things that a supervisor expects from the students? They expect you to be independent. Okay, they expect that you to produce written work that is not just a first draft. You have to form, make it a professional writing. You have to complete the PPT. You have to go through the whole thing, and formulate your own methods and your own thinking. And then once you've formulated it, you have to professionally present it to him. So it gives him a boost as well. And all these things, let me tell you, it gives you a lot of experience. Okay, once you make the PPTs, whenever you learn stuff and you make PPTs, it helps you a lot in your in speaking on stuff which you have gone through, and it helps you revise stuff as well. So you have to ask him to hold regular meetings. You have to approach him rather than he approaching you. You have to be honest when reporting about your progress. Okay, you don't have to keep him in shadows, that yeah, I have gone through the stuff, and yeah, I'm still seeing whether it is helping me or not, or whether it is working, whether, although you haven't even gone through it. Okay, so you might fool him, but this is not a place where fooling a professor will help you in anything. Okay, you have to make a honest, you have to establish an honest relationship with him. You have to tell him that you are stuck somewhere. Okay, you have gone through all the PPTs, all the papers, you have devoted your time, and you are still stuck. Okay, so it'll naturally help you out. But if you are you are stuck somewhere, and then you just go through the thing for 15-20 minutes or an hour, and then again approach him ki I'm not able to go through the stuff, I'm not able to understand things. So later, he'll also start feeling that you're getting too much dependent. He'll also advise you to not do so. So this is what supervisor expects from their students. You have to be excited about your work. That's why your interest has to match the supervisor. Okay, if you're not interested about stuff, you will not get excited about working with him. So you have to, it is your duty as well to provide the energy to the team. That you are happy, and you are, giving those. You're establishing a relationship, such kind of relationship. We are both happy working together and collaborating together. So, okay, so once you have done so, you have chosen a supervisor. So what happens? Okay, so there might be conditions where you are where you are approaching faculties, but they are not taking you in a research team. They are obviously they'll guide you through stuff. Okay, most of them will guide you through the stuff. You if you show your efforts, they'll guide you. But sometimes what happens is, they are also very, very busy with their daily life, so they might not able to help you at that time. So this does not mean that your teacher isn't supportive. Okay, you have to approach him at some other time. You have to humbly request to spare his couple of minutes whenever he's free. Okay, so you have to be sturdy enough. You have to be vigilant that you are whenever you are approaching him, you have to show that you are ready to be patient, and you are humble enough in your requests. So once you have done so, you have to gather resources. Okay, so now your topic is done, and you have taken help from your supervisors or your faculty, your coordinators, or your subject teachers. So once you're guided and you have established a base, you have to go through the resources. So again, you have to note down what all is available. Okay, so you have gone through a couple of hundreds of research papers. Yeah, you have to go through lots and lots of research papers, YouTube videos, and other sites to learn stuff. So you note down what is available to you. You have systematic. You can keep a folder where all the things which you have. Even very small stuff. You take a screenshot of such stuff, and you store it over there, so that it will definitely help you throughout the process. Not now, it will help you later if it is not helping you right now. So once you have have a systematic way of all the resources available, the second thing is to think of what all is required, what all the resources are still required. So once you have made a list of all the resources you have access to, and all those things that you believe that you need access in order to carry a research paper, you have to see if there's a wide gap. Okay, if the resources that is required is far more than available to you, then again you have to re-analyze your whole process. You have to modify your models, you have to modify your approach, or you might have to in some cases change your research project as well. This is this happens very less, because most of the time we feel that we are stuck, and there's no ending. There's no way to come out of the stuff, but it happens that you get out of it. You have a way to get out of the stuff. So you have to modify things very regularly, instead of leaving the research project and finding a new way. Okay, so yeah, so now when we are talking about resources, like in VIT, we have access to the library. So let me show you how you can easily access your portal, your VIT library, so that you can get the resources easily. I'll guide you through the whole steps. Wait a second. Okay. So I hope my screen is visible. So yeah, this is the egateway.vat.hp.in that is used in our college. If you're from any other college as well, you might have a library, and you might have almost a similar approach on accessing your stuff from there. So you can take a hint of all the steps which I'm teaching you, and you can work upon that in your own college access, library access as well. So once you have logged in, so you have this home page. So what you can do is instead of searching over here, the more easier way is to go to the databases. So there are two publishers which I take help of mostly, which contains almost each and every research paper. That is IEEE Explore. Okay, so let me open this. One is IEEE Explore, and the other one is wait, Science Direct. That's Elsevier. So most of the stuff you can find on all these on these two topics. Wait, yeah, yeah. So you can find most of the research papers on these two sites. So what happens is if you open IEEE Explore directly instead of taking help of your college access, what happens? Let me tell you. So so yeah, so for example, you have taken a topic, like freshers have taken a topic on, let's say, Python. You want to get resources on Python, so you go to IEEE, you search on the search bar, and for example, let's take the for example survey how Python pitches in IT world. You want to access this resource, you want to access this research paper. So if you're not having the access, what happens is if you try to download the PDF, it shows you to sign in for full text access. So at that time, what you can do is you can there's two ways. I'll show you the first method first, like VIT. So like see, this is a survey how Python pitches in IT world. So once you go through your VIT access, you can search again over here. Once you've logged in, you see it will provide you access provided by VIT University. So once you have the access, you can access most of the research papers. There are some research papers that still don't have access to, but most of the research papers you get access to through this VIT access. So go through the PDF. Once you open the PDF, yes, you can open the PDF. You can go through the whole of the stuff, the complete PDF. You can even download it and store it for future reference as well. Okay, so this is one of the ways. The other way is to wait. Can't see. Yeah. The other way is to go through IEEE Explore. Yeah. So this was the page which where you haven't logged into. So this is the PDF which you can't access. So I'll provide you with a link which you can use. Wait. Let me provide it to you in the chat box. Okay, so you can use this. I'll show you how you can use this. So, okay, so you have this document, you have a document name. Instead of completely, once you have logged into VIT gateway, you can directly go to IEEE Explore instead of, going through the whole journals over here, and you can accessing the IEEE Explore from here. What you can do is, wait, where did, yeah, you can copy that link and you can paste it over here for the document. So once you have done so, press enter. Yeah, so you can get a direct access to the PDF from here. You don't have to repeat those steps again and again. This is similar to even in the Science Direct as well. The other site which I showed you, you can even do the same over here. I'll share the link for that as well. So you can easily go through the resources in these two manners. Okay, so this is how you can access to resources as well. So this is the resources part. Now we'll move on to the next part. Wait, I'll share the screen again. Okay, so is the screen visible? Advik?
Yes, Aditya, it is.
Okay, cool. So this I provided you with the method of accessing to the resources. Now the next uh, topic is uh, the enormous, gigantic, and humongous process of searching through the papers. Okay, this is also one of the major topics, major things that you will have to go through, and you will find it very difficult when you start researching. So, how can you go through the papers? There are thousands and lakhs of research papers on one of the trending topics. So, how you can go through them? So you can either go through the first thing that you have to do is you have to go through all the research papers at first, and you have to find that one sweet paper, which satisfies everything, that which satisfy that you have most of the skills to understand that research paper, which is of interest to you, and you think that if you devote your time and learn few topics, you will be able to contribute and find a good research gap in that research paper, and you can begin your journey. So once you have done so, what you can do is you establish a research gap. Once you've established the research gap, you go through the whole paper. So once you have chosen that one paper which satisfies all the all your needs and all your basic interests as well, so you have to go through the research paper again and again, and you'll find many topics which you have no knowledge about. So what you can go do at that time is there's numbers written in each and every paragraph, which are called as citations. So those citations are mentioned at the end of a paper. So you can, whatever topic you are not able to understand, you can get its citation. You can go through the link, and then you can again access the paper on that particular topic which the citation is mentioned about. So on that citation, again, there will be a complete paper. You can go through the paper and then understand that topic, that model, which you were not able to understand before. Sometimes what happens is you have to go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 layers down. You have to again, in that paper which you have taken through the citation, you again have to understand that paper. And if there's any topic again that you don't understand, then you have to again go through the citation. So, I mean, it is a very tedious, it will look as a very tedious process before, but if it interests you, it won't, hinder a lot in your commitment. So this is a very, it's a very cyclic process. You have to again go through topics, and then you have to again go through citations, and then read the complete stuff. So again, my advice to have a systematic way to download all the research papers in a particular folder, so that you can access it again and again without completely going through the steps of finding a resource paper in that VIT access or any other research publishing stuff. So this is the enormous and gigantic process of searching through the papers. So once you're done, then comes your need of support. This need of support does not mean your professional needs. Okay, this means your personal and emotional support. You might think that you don't need any support. Okay, you are very cheerful at the beginning. You are filled with enthusiasm, confidence that you will go through the paper alone and do stuff on your own. But what happens is once you go through the stuff, as obviously you will get stuck somewhere. So once there's a repeated process of getting stuck somewhere, your moral will come down. So you need someone, you need a support. You either be it friends, either be it your parents, either be it anybody. So who you can relate, who you can talk about, discuss stuff. It doesn't matter whether he or she understands what you are working upon. You should just have support, who you can talk to, and who you can say that, yeah, like I don't have, like I'm not able to understand few stuffs today. I'm stuck somewhere. When you speak stuff, you are more easily able to grasp the problems which you are facing. So and the other person, who you are taking support of, he or she'll also help you motivate your confidence. For example, I used to sit, like here I am sitting. I used to work upon here, and keep on sitting for hours and hours to work on the research paper. So when I used to get stuck, I used to stand up. I used to move around the whole house. I used to sit in their drawing room, silently sit and use my mobile or just simply stare at the television when I used to get stuck somewhere. So my mom, she used to she used to clearly get it that yeah, now he's stuck somewhere and he needs moral support. Okay, so she used to make coffee and she used to ask me what is happening, because on my face it was clearly visible ki, I'm blank now, I can't work anymore. So I used to discuss stuff with her like, yeah, I'm stuck here, I'm not able to formulate this or that, even though even though she might not understand most of the topics, but you might get you are getting a social help. If you're interacting with someone, it boosts your confidence, it at least boosts your confidence. Okay, so instead of hiding stuff from your friends, yeah, this is a very important stuff. Okay, in your college, what happens is when you are working on a research paper or you're working on anything, you tend to hide it from your friends. I mean, you either be it of any motive, like either you want to surprise them in the end with your achievement, or it is better that you keep them updated about a situation that you're working on a research paper and you're stuck somewhere, so that they can help you. They can help you in whatever way possible, whether be it emotional or mental. Okay, so they help you keep you motivated. For example, like I've told you, your parents and your friends. So this is one of the very major things which you might feel that it isn't important right now, but it is very important through the whole process of writing a research paper. So now comes method of researching. So what are the methods of researching? So you have to collect data, right? So how do you collect data? There are two ways of collecting data. Either be the primary way, primary collection, or be the secondary collection. So what is primary collection of data? So for primary collection data means that you are yourself, conducting surveys, or going through the field project. You're going to the field and you are collecting the data, real-time data yourself. That is primary data. Or you go through the documents, or you go to the internet and you find the data. So these are the two major ways of finding data for the methods of researching. So if possible, choose methods you enjoy using. If you enjoy socializing with people, then take interviews. Okay, otherwise, if you don't like socializing, you can use internet and document based research. This is for Obviously, this is for qualitative research. For quantitative research, you can conduct statistical analysis. You can consider quantitative methodologies. If you enjoy or have a flair for a particular method, what you can do is you can make a research project more interesting by and help, and it helps you keep you motivated to carry it through. So you can develop your own ways of finding data, whether be it the methods you're not familiar with, but you are interested in. So again, it will take some efforts to collect data collect data by method which you are not familiar with. But since if you are interested in it, you will be able to go through the whole process. So okay, so these are the few major topics which you have to see before writing a research paper. Now, once all these steps are done, the next major step is the elements of a manuscript. Manuscript means any formal paper which you are writing. So what is the format of a writing research paper? You can say it that way as well. So you have to keep in mind of all these stuff. You should have a title. Uh, you should have an author list. You should have an abstract. You should have keywords. You should have nomenclature. You should have different sections, explaining the different steps, be it introduction, methodologies, results, discussions, findings. And section 5 should always be the conclusion. This is you have to stick to this format, because most of the publishing papers which you publish, all of them have such kind of like 90 to 99% of the format is similar. So stick to the format. Okay, go through the research papers and see the format in which they are written. Okay, it will surely have, like, it will surely be similar to the ones I'm showing over here. Okay, so section 5 should be conclusion, then you should have acknowledgement, and then you should have references. So we'll see in depth about each and every one of them, so that you get a gist of it. So that I know this won't be enough when you're writing research paper, but once you have that base, you can work upon it. So title. the title should be very effective. It should answer the reader's question, that is that article relevant to me? Okay, it should grab the reader's attention. As you do in story writing, right? You write a title for your stories in your board exams till you have in your English and Hindi. So similarly, you should have a title that that grabs the reader's attention. To describe the contents of the paper using fewest possible words. It should be crisp, concise, and it should use the keywords in which most of the methods that is being used in a paper. It would be better if you use those keywords in the title. You should avoid jargons. You should make sure that you are not trying to make it complex, rather make it as simple as possible, explaining the major stuff about a research paper. So that is very important. Okay. Now, second comes the abstract. It is a condensed version of your article. Okay. It is just like a summary. Okay. It should not be more than 250 words. You can use past tense or present tense in this. Should avoid using we explain, I describe. Okay. You should avoid using those words we, I, you, they. Okay. So this was something which was told to my professor when I was doing those laboratory experiments, when I was writing the result analysis. So you have to, keep in mind what your professor is saying, so that he gets that you are listening to him with all your heart. Okay, so he used to tell us this even before the research began, that while we are writing the assessment side, he used to tell us that never use we or I while explaining any analysis. So it is very useful in research paper as well. These are all the experiences which you get in your college, which will help you in a research paper. Okay, it isn't something very different to what you are going through. Okay, all those experiences matter while writing a research paper. So okay, so in abstract you should not show your actual results, only describe the paper's organization. What will the gist of the whole paper should be explained. So that is the abstract. Next comes the introduction. So, introduction, a description of the problem you researched about. It should contain it should go step by step. Okay, context of the research. What is the research all about? What are all the methods used in the research. The second thing is the literature review. All those research papers that you've gone through, there might be many of them which are similar to the one you're working upon. Okay, so you have to do a literature review. You have to see what are all the stuffs done in the previous research papers. What are all the findings? What are all the research gaps which are yet not found in the previous research papers? And then you have to explain your contribution. How are you minimizing that gap? Okay, it should be significant. If it's not significant, then again it is not, it cannot be called a research if it is not a significant contribution. So you have to explain that contribution. It might not complete that research gap, it might shorten that research gap, or it might, like all those couple of research papers you read, there might be any one of the papers which on one of the research gaps which you are decreasing that gap. So you have to mention that as well. So the introduction section should be very specific. It should not move into circles. It should not use language which broadens, increases your word capacity. It should not be too broad nor too vague. It should be about 1 to 2 pages. These are the formats that are necessary, okay, to while writing a research paper. So it should be written in the present tense. Then comes the conclusion. Okay, so you have to explain what the research has achieved as it relates to problem stated in the introduction. Revisit the key points of each section. There are so there are 5 sections. Conclusion comes in the end. There are 3 to 4 more sections in the between. Those sections should contain all the models, all the statistical data, what all you have done, what all the graphs you obtained, what is a pattern that you observed, why was that pattern, like what was the effect, which variables affected that pattern, which caused that pattern to behave in that way. So okay, so you have to mention that before its conclusion. But in the conclusion, you have to revisit the key points in each section. You should include a summary of the main findings and implications of the field. You should provide benefits and shortcomings of the solution presented, your research and methodology. Suggest few areas of research as well. Okay, so this is the major things which you should keep in mind while writing a research paper. Next comes why reviewers reject papers. Okay, so once you are given your paper, completed a paper, and you sent it for publishing, it is reviewed by 2 or 3 members, or even more. So there's a complete process. Okay, we won't be discussing it today. So there's a complete process where in which your papers are reviewed through. So why do reviewers? It is their comments, the reviewers' comments, which finally establishes whether your paper will be accepted or rejected. There are other formalities as well, but the major ones is that the reviewers will review your paper and then will they may show corrections which can be done, minor corrections which they can email it to you, and then you can change those, or there might be major corrections which will cause a research paper to be rejected. So the what are all those points? Okay, the content is not a good fit for the publication. It should match the publication's work. Okay, what the publication is majorly working upon, whether it be it AI, ML, or sustainable development, or weather forecasting. It should match the publication's major topics. There are various scientific flaws. Okay, there might be various scientific flaws in your research paper. There might be inconclusive results or incorrect interpretations. Okay, so you have to conclusively prove each and every result that is visible in your paper. It should not be fraud. Okay, it should not copy stuff from somewhere else. If it is not creating anything significant, then it is not research, as I told you beforehand. It is poorly written. It should not be poorly written at all. It should have a complete formal way of writing. It should keep in mind of the grammatical mistakes. It should be very, very professional. It should not look casual at all. So next is it should address a big enough problem and should help in advancement of scientific field. Most of the work, if the most of the work is previously published, then again it is not a significant contribution. So the quality is not good enough for the journal. Quality or poor writing. Okay, this is one of the mostly the same points. You should have a good quality research paper means everything is perfect. Okay, you have conclusively proved everything. You have proper sections. You have proper abstract. You have correctly found the research gap. You are currently minimizing that research gap. Your reviewers have okay. So these are the major things which makes a paper a good quality one. Reviewers have misunderstood the article. Okay, so this is something which might it does not happen very majorly. It happens very, very minutely. Like there are sometimes papers which reviewers have misunderstood. Okay, so it hasn't happened with me anytime, but all the books I've gone through, I've seen that there's this point as well that reviewers have misunderstood. So I haven't particularly seen that reviewers have misunderstood the article. They do provide important corrections for the paper, and most of the times they completely understand the article as well. So the next topic is the scope of the careers in the field of research. So what are all the scopes and careers? Okay, why are you writing a research paper? Why are you going into this field? You are not just doing it for the sake of it. You're not just writing a research paper so that you can post it to your friends that I've written a research paper. I have done something which most of the people haven't. You have found something. It doesn't. You are obviously not doing stuff for that. Okay. So what are the scopes and careers in the field of research? Once you have gone, you have stepped into this field, what all the careers you can step into. There are various ways. There are education institutions, there are government institutions, laboratories, corporate institutions, hospitals, insurance companies, private companies, industries. Okay, so these are the very basic fields where you can go through in the field of research. Okay, they are so I have got this data as well that the average salary of researcher ranges from 25 lakhs to 2 crores. Okay, I'm not really sure whether this data is correct because I mean I took it from a very reputed site, but I still think that it might not, the starting salary might not be this high. But yeah, once you are experienced enough and you are publishing stuff which is significantly solving day-to-day life problems, that is theoretical analysis. Okay, if applied research, if applied research, it is called applied research, it is solving problems. You're creating vaccines for COVID. You are that experienced. Then again, the more you are experienced, the more you contribute, the salary and all those stuff increases. So that is what all is about. Then comes the job opportunities. There's actuary, there's market research analyst, there's medical research scientist, there's biological life science researchers, there's research psychologist. So let me go through each of them quickly. What is an actuary? An actuary's job is to he's responsible to analyze, calculate, and predict the financial cost of risk. Here, the person has to use their research, analytics, and problem-solving skills along with excellent mathematical skills. Okay, so this is what actuary does: is market research analyst. His job is to access the market conditions, determine the availability of products and service to the customers. They should see how they should analyze how consumer behaves, what all is his needs, what all are the advancements or modifications you can do to increase that customer support, that you can experience. Okay, so that is what market research analyst is about. You can go to medical research analyst scientist. You know what medical research scientist is. Job is to cure for diseases, etc. Plan stuff. Solve problems. All those stuff is done in medical research. Okay, so biological life science researchers. Okay, so this is also one of the fields. You can go as a life science researcher where you can study problems related to living organisms. You can conduct experiments to explore living cycles of organisms, or you can find solutions regarding problems faced by them. Okay, so mostly you can land into government agencies or places through this life science researching. Or you can go through a research psychologist as well. It deals with psychology, how an individual behaves, study of animals, humans, and their behaviors. How does these individuals work at universities, schools, and health sectors? They see all the behavior pattern, how the brain works, and all those stuff comes under research psychologist. So, except this, let me tell you the scope. Okay, the scope of research is everywhere. Okay, what I see is any big company, any field, whether be it, as I told you, biological, medical, technical, business, anything, any field. Okay, who is doing something innovative. Okay, is you can apply through it. All these there are researchers everywhere. Okay, those are the opportunities you can look for. You have to find your interest. You have to have experience, and then you can easily apply anything. Say you can see take the example of COVID-19. Okay, it is innovation. There's a problem, daily day-to-day lifestyle problem, that is COVID. And then you provide a solution, that is a vaccine. Who is doing this? It's obviously doctors, but they are researchers working on that vaccines. Okay, to formulate, they are working on those vaccines, and they're collecting data on how it is affecting people. So that is medical. Take the example of space tech. Okay, all those innovations that are being done in SpaceX, they are they are privatizing, they're commercializing space transportation. In a couple of decades, you might go to picnic on moon. Okay, you might go to Mars. You can see people already traveling, buying tickets to go to space. Normal people. So what is it? It is innovation. Okay, this is what is called innovation. You are finding something new. So again, there are researchers over there. There are researchers at SpaceX, innovating things. It is not Elon Musk alone doing stuff. There's a whole team of researchers, working in the background to, find stuff, to innovate, to complete, to innovate and stuff. Okay. So yeah, that is what are the basic job opportunities. They're very vast. Okay. You can work upon anything. So with this slide, I would like to, this was the end of my presentation. I hope you liked it. And I would like to, note that since you can say that I'm also a beginner in research. Okay. So there might be things which I experienced, which be correct in my perspective. Okay. So it is my humble request that if you have, if you feel that anything is remaining, or if you feel that there should be some modifications, I'm really open to suggestions, and I humbly request you that in case you want to speak upon something, speak upon the topics that you were there in the poll, as astronomy, drugs, data science, genetics, food, nutrition, IoT, computer science, mental health, environment, all those topics. It would be really great if you all can interact with us through the chat box by unmuting yourself about, speaking about these domains.
Thank you, Aditya, for such a great event. Before moving on to Q&A session, I would like to announce the result of the poll that we had earlier. So our top two choices that today's participants are interested in researching about are data science, ML and AI, and computer science and information technology. Aditya, if you may like to highlight why these topics are of such a great interest and how our participants can pursue these topics as they're highly interested in it.
All You mean all the topics that were mentioned in the poll?
No, the particularly the those they are that are the most popular, which are ML, AI, and data science, and
Yeah.
computer science and information technology.
Yeah, that I knew that most of you will chose data science, ML, and yeah, yes, it is one of the most upgrading. It is opens a world of opportunities. Now AI, ML, it is one of the major topics that a person can work upon. At a basic level, in AI, ML, you will have a better understanding of systems, tools that you interact with on a daily basis. Okay, so you can go through stuff, and you can, again, you have to go through a lot of stuff. For coming to AI ML, there's a there's there's a lot many steps which you have to go through before coming to ML and AI. Okay, so once you are reached that position in ML and AI, you can significantly, it is of big interest. There's you might feel shocked in seeing stuff which is happening, what all are the stuff happening in background, just not just the things which you can see and you can read in the news headlines. Okay, so once you work upon it, if you stick with the subject and if you study more, you can help create cutting edge AI applications like the Google self-driving car or like the IBM's Watson. So in this field of artificial intelligence, the possibilities are truly endless. Okay, it seems the news is frequently filled with Google's plan to build quantum processors, robotic assistants like Jibo, or studying AI. Now you can prepare for software engineer, neural networks, human machine interfaces, quantum computing, quantum artificial intelligence. So there are various stuff, various fields in AI and ML as well, which you can go through and explore, and I'm sure that one of those topics will easily be interested in. Okay, so this is data science, ML, and AI. You can computer. We can take an example of computer science and information technology as well. So computer science and information technology is a wider aspect of AI and ML as well. Okay, so it is a ML and AI is subset of computer science. You can say that because most of the stuff happening today is in the fast-moving technology is computing. You have parallel processors. In this very hectic and life where you are running through stuff. There are innovations happening to ease your stuff. There are processors coming each year. You have Apple. Each year they are taking out a software in the market every year. This iOS, I don't know the names of the softwares, but yeah, so there's this Android also working upon these on the OS. So there's various contribution to running behind automation and technological instances, which you can be curious about. It has become one of the fastest growing fields in the current scenario. Before AI ML, computer science was the most important, most fast growing uh, domain before that. Yeah, so this is about both the topics, which I guess people would have polled about. I haven't seen the result right now.
Yeah, this is it, Aditya. Thank you for highlighting these points. I would like to announce that the forum is now open for Q&A session. Please feel free to raise your questions. You can post your question in the chat box or you can unmute yourself and ask them. So Aditya would be answering your queries.
Okay, let me see the chat as well. Okay, wait. Let me stop presenting.
Aditya, I guess you are muted.
Yeah, I apologize. Okay. So yeah. So there's Dhanush's question: what makes a research paper stand out in the scientific community? So you have to you have to make sure that whatever you're researching about is in parallel to the trends in the world. Okay, so as I told you, AI/ML and AI/ML, if you work upon stuff which is related to AI/ML or computer science, it will surely be of more effect than researching about topics which are yet which have lost their uh, trend, or which haven't come up in the last couple of years. Okay, so there is impact factor as well. Okay, there are many factors, which have to be taken care of. There's impact factor where your number of citations which your paper has done, and there's a complete formula of taking out the impact factor H index. So just make sure that whatever you're researching about is currently related to the topic and minimizes one of the research gaps of the trending papers. Okay, you're welcome, Dhanush. Okay, so I'm interested in research. I would like to hone my skills by joining a club. Yes, you can surely join the research society. We'll have our interviews whenever all the clubs and chapters. I don't know the exact dates of the interviews happening, but we'll surely have the interviews for where you can join the research clubs and other clubs as well. It is just that you have to show interest, nothing else. We'll have interviews and you can apply for that as well.
We have another question in the chat box where Vedansh is asking what makes a research paper to be adopted as a theory and on what
Okay.
basis.
What makes a research paper to be adopted as a theory and on what basis? Okay, yeah. So again, my answer would like according to my experience, if it has to be adopted as a theory, it should have many. It has to be a breakthrough. Actually, it should, instead of minimizing a research gap, it should be on a different topic. It should explain something which hasn't been explained before. Not just modifying small stuffs, or increasing um, past models, but for example, you can take out a complete different model, okay, which minimizes the errors, okay, which explains the understanding of universe, all those stuff. If that is happening, surely it will be adopted as a theory. You might name it as as Vedansh's hypothesis or something like that. But it has to have many citations. Yeah, you mean it has to be a breakthrough to be called in with your name. Any more questions? Anybody would like to unmute or comment on any domains they're working upon or any stuff, anything else?
Aditya, we have questions pouring in the chat box.
Yeah. How do we find the right collaboration for a project? Okay, collaborators, I guess you mean by your colleagues, your college mates and friends, I guess. So there might be WhatsApp groups. Okay, so for this, might need to socialize. You might need to have friends. You can go to LinkedIn. You can tell that I'm interested in this. You might have a research profile. You can update your status over there that I might want to research on this topic. Okay, you have to increase your connections for this. Okay, so you might have to increase your connections so much that you are able to identify people who are working on some similar topic, or who are as curious as you are on some domain. Okay, then you have to approach people. Okay, then it is a completely different thing. Then you have to know about stuff, basic stuff, and then you can ask other people who might have knowledge or who are interested in such stuff, and you can collaborate with them.
Aditya Lokesh is asking, what is a peer-reviewed journal?
Okay, so what is the okay? So yeah, so there are many kinds of this journal, this conference paper. I don't think we can get into that topic, but yeah. So first we need to know what a journal is, or what a conference paper is. What are the differences? So what is a journal? What is a conference paper? The difference. So the journals are basically it explains the topics more in depth than a conference paper. A conference paper explains the idea. It may not be so much depth as journal paper is. So any once you have written a journal paper, it is peer reviewed. So I might have told you about the reviewers, why do they reject papers. So that is called peer review. There are other formalities as well, where you have a person who has guiding two or three reviewers. They might not get they will not get the name of the research paper who is contributing to it. They'll just get the research paper, and then they have to take out, they have to see whether there has to be any edits made or something like that. Okay, so that is called peer review. Every journal is to be peer reviewed. Okay, it is a completely compulsory thing while writing a journal paper. Do you have any WhatsApp group or something similar for Sigma Psi? Yeah, we you can join. Yeah, exactly. You have Shakti Bhaiya as one of our members of Sigma Psi. You can join our Discord server, and you can once we are conducting interviews and stuff, we'll surely make WhatsApp groups as well where you can join and interact.
Vedansh has a question. It becomes a bit difficult to find the right amount of investors for a project at such a stage. I wanted to ask how to tackle with this issue.
Okay, so right amount of investors. Yeah, cost is one of the things that you have to keep in mind while writing a research paper. Personally, I never had to experience such stuff because we are under a mentor. Okay, so he used to take care of such stuff. But you okay? So what happens is, as much experience I have, if you're writing a paper, you will definitely have two, three, or four people contributing, the authors. Okay, so what I know is either you have a mentor which will help you, or you have to, the basic stuff, you have to divide the amount, among the four people. You have to divide, and then you have to pay on your own. uh, you might not get investors for that. You like, for writing a research paper, there is a certain amount of cost, and then you have to divide it among the authors and pay for that.
Dhanush is asking that he is currently working in the wait. He's saying that he's currently working in the field computational fluid dynamics, and he would like to approach some professors in the same area. Could you suggest how he may find them?
Okay, I'm not aware of computational fluid dynamics as such, but if you're working on that field, I guess you have subjects related to that. If you don't have, then yes, then you have to again stock the research profiles of the faculties that are there in VIT, and you have to see if there is anybody who has done contribution in this field. Then you have to approach them. You're right, it is a tedious process, but I mean, you have to do. Yeah, if you want a mentor, then you have to do such thing. Okay, we have the Discord community link in the group as well. You can join that. Okay, right, understood. Yeah.
If you guys have any other questions, you can unmute yourself or just let the questions pour in the chat box.
Here's a small announcement. Seeing that most of you are interested in data science, AI, and ML, it's our privilege to let you all know that we are conducting a symposium, an event from the Sigma side, and it's Sigma AI Conclave 21, and it's on 13th November. It's a symposium on AI, artificial intelligence. Do join us to learn more about the topics you're most interested in. You could follow us on our Insta pages and LinkedIn pages to know more about the event. We'll be posting all the details there.
Okay, yeah. So if Dhanush is still there, I have one or two more suggestions which you can do. Okay, so there are, you have to find certain groups. Okay, you can. Okay, so this is the one of the basic things which I skipped. Okay, you have WhatsApp groups, right? Of your branch and of other communities as well in VIT or whatever college you are in. So you can simply, drop a message, see if people are interested in computational fluid dynamics. You can make an account. I hope you have made an account on LinkedIn, as it is one of the basic things which you should do while you're in college. You can join groups on LinkedIn as well, where you can see people who are contributing in this field. You can find people who have similar experience as you have, and then you can contribute and collaborate with them as well. Yes, okay, cool.
We have now, I would like to announce that we have come to the end of the event. Thank you, Aditya, for stimulating our research interest. And thanks to everyone who has been a part of making this event a great success. A special mention to the audience for taking part in this event. Also, your feedbacks are always welcome. Please do fill the feedback form that we will be providing. And thank you once again for bringing life to this phenomenal event.